Hey there folks, it's Blue here at Blueberries Games, and for this week's videos I will be unboxing and then upgrading the Universes Beyond Fallout Science Commander Precon. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to ask for your help in supporting my channel, which can be done in the following ways. Subscribing to the channel, sharing any of my content on your socials, watching some of my many other videos, purchasing super thanks, purchasing channel memberships, purchasing decks that you may have seen on this channel directly from me on the Blueberries Games Facebook page, and/or visiting our sponsor at arcane-fortress.com and using discount code Blueberry at checkout if you decide to purchase any of their amazing gaming supplies from them. Anything that you do will help support my channel immensely, and I thank you for it. Now that that is out of the way, let's get to today's video. Today's video will of course be the unboxing of the Precon, where I'll show you everything that comes in the box, including the deck card by card, and then tomorrow I will release an upgrade guide, where I'll go over some options on what I believe you should take out, and then add back in to help make the deck either more fun, play a little better, or best case scenario, both. This deck's color identity is red, white, and blue, also known as Jeskai, and uses Dr. Madison Li as the commander. When it was released, there was a little buzz about this deck just like last week's deck. However, if I remember correctly, it was because of the cards in the 99 more so than it was because of the commander's ability. So, let's take a closer look at the commander real quick to see why that may be. Dr. Madison Li is 1 red, 1 white, and 1 blue mana to cast for a 2/3 legendary human scientist with a whopping 4 abilities that appear to be what this deck strategy revolves around. The first ability says that whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get an energy counter. The second ability says that you can tap it and spend 1 energy to have target creature get +1/+0 and gain trample and haste until end of turn. The third ability says that you can tap it and spend 3 energy to draw a card. The fourth and final ability says that you can tap it and spend 5 energy to return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Okay, I see what the issue is. While people really like an artifact-based deck, they don't really like the energy counter theme much. That's not to say that there aren't people out there that do, it's just not a very popular mechanic overall. I believe that the marriage of energy counters with an artifact-heavy theme could work, but I'll have to see the rest of the deck before I know for sure. So, let's just rip this bad boy open, and we can find out together what's in the box. So here is what the outside of the box looks like. It has the Commander Dr. Madison Li on the front, nice and big, I can actually see this one. It is white, red, and blue. And then on the back it has a couple of the cards, and it says War Never Changes. So let's open it up and take a look and see what we got. Alright, so there's the deck right here, all the inserts, the deck box, and the life wheel and all that stuff, and I'll show you that in a second. Alright, so the front of the packaging has +1/+1 counters and a couple of other different ones. And then the back has these again, which I'm not a fan of because, again, I don't know how to use them or what to use them for because they're not really that great. We've got the insert. It says a little bit about Commander rules, a little bit about the deck. And then on the back, a little bit more about Dr. Madison Li, and what have you. I use these as like dividers when I need them. Here's the life wheel. Again, it is not generic. It is marked with Dr. Madison Li on the front. And then on the back, they got the deck box. And again, it's a vertical box, which I like a lot better than all the other ones. So here's the front of it. The side has the 3 colors. The other side has the 3 colors. And on the back, we have Dr. Madison Li. We've got the deck and a collector's booster sample pack. So let me zoom a little bit and open up that pack. And let's hope for something nice, because this set had some cool stuff in it. Alright, first card is a Rose Cutthroat Raider, and the second card is Inexorable Tide Extended Art. Nothing at all spectacular. I'm hoping for like any of the bobbleheads. That would be nice. Anything foil, nothing was foil in that. But we're not here for that, right? That's just the extra bonus. We're here for the deck, so let me open up the actual packaging, split the deck in half, and get started. So I already went over Dr. Madison Li, so we will go past that and go to the next card. It is Liberty Prime Recharged, red, white, blue, and 2 for an 8/8 artifact creature, legendary artifact creature robot that has vigilance, trample, haste, and whenever it attacks or blocks, Sacrifice it unless you pay 2 energy counters. That's what that symbol means. And then pay 2 and tap it and sacrifice an artifact, and you get 2 energy counters, and you draw a card. And then the rest of the deck. So that's the secondary suggested commander, by the way. Next up, we have Paladin Dance Steel Maverick, a 3-cast, 3/3 legendary artifact creature, Synth Knight, that has Vigilance and Lifelink. And then you can exile it, and it says each creature you control that's an artifact or a human gains indestructible until end of turn. Nerd Rage, great name. 3-cast enchantment Aura. It enchants a creature, and when it enters the battlefield, you draw 2 cards. And the enchanted creature you have no maximum hand size, and whenever this creature attacks, if you have 10 or more cards in hand, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Robo Brain Warmind, a 4-cast Star 5 robot, artifact robot, that says its power is equal to the number of cards in your hand. And then when it enters the battlefield, you get an amount of energy counters equal to the number of artifact creatures that you control. And then it has an ability that says whenever it attacks, you may pay 3 energy, and if you do, you draw a card. Bottle Cap Blast, 5-cast instant with Improvise, which means that your artifacts can help pay for it. And then if excess damage was dealt to a permanent this way, create that many tapped treasure tokens. Elder Owen Lions, I assume that's how it's said. 4-cast, 3/3 legendary human knight. Says artifacts you control have Ward 1, which is not bad, nice protection. And when it enters the battlefield or dies, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Behemoth of Vault 0 is a 6-cast, 6/6 artifact robot with trample, and when it enters the battlefield, you get 4 energy counters. And then when Behemoth Vault 0 dies, you may pay an amount of energy equal to target non-land permanent's mana value, and when you do, destroy that permanent. CAMP, or Camp, is a 3-cast artifact fortification. So that's a new thing for the game, fortifications. It says whenever a fortified land is tapped for mana, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. If that creature shares a color with the mana that the land produced, create a junk token. And junk tokens are artifacts that you tap it and sacrifice it to exile the top card of your library, and you may play that card this turn and activate only as a sorcery. And it has Fortify 3, and it says attach to target land that you control. You can only fortify as a sorcery. Endurance Bobblehead. This one is the 3-cast artifact Bobblehead. It taps that mana of any color, and you can pay 3 and tap it to have up to X target creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until the turn, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control, but you can only activate this as a sorcery. Love the bobbleheads. Expert Level Safe is a 2-cast artifact that says when it enters the battlefield, exile the top 2 cards of your library face down, and then you can pay 1 and tap it to have you and target opponent each secretly choose 1, 2, or 3. Then those choices are revealed. If they match, sacrifice Expert Level Safe and put all the cards exiled with it into their owner's hands. Otherwise, exile the top card of your library face down. It's a lot of wording to get cards into your hand. Intelligence Bobblehead. This one's 3-cast as well. Taps that mana of any color, just like all the bobbleheads do. The other ability on this one is to pay 5 and tap it to draw X cards, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. This is one of the better ones. Nuka Cola Vending Machine. Probably the best card that came out of this set. It's one of my favorites. It's a 3-cast artifact. You can pay 1 and tap it to create a food token. And then whenever you sacrifice a food, you create a tapped treasure token. This enables so many infinite combos. Crush Contraband. This is a reprint. Same with Dispatch. Swords to Plowshares. Glimmer of Genius. Thirst for Knowledge. These are all reprints. Whirler Rogue. Loyal Apprentice. Unexpected Windfall. Arcane Signet. Everflowing Chalice. Lightning Greaves. Mind Stone, Soul Ring, Talisman of Conviction. This is the red-white mana rock. Talisman of Creativity, the blue-red, and Progress, the white-blue. Thought Vessel makes sense in this deck so far. I've seen a lot of stuff that deals with more than 7 cards in your hand. Automated Assembly Line. This is a 2-cast artifact that says whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get an energy counter. And then you can pay 3 energy counters to create a tapped 3/3 colorless robot artifact creature token. Brotherhood Scribe, a 2 to cast 1/3 human artificer, has Metalcraft, and it says you can tap it to get 1 energy counter, but activate only if you control 3 or more artifacts. That's what Metalcraft means. And then whenever you get 1 or more energy counters during your turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Over Encumbered, it's a problem in most RPG games for video games. 2 to cast Enchantment Aura that you enchant an opponent. And it says when it enters the battlefield, enchanted opponent creates a clue token, a food token, and a junk token. And then at the beginning of combat on an enchanted opponent's turn, that player may pay 1 generic mana for each artifact they control. If they don't, creatures can't attack this combat. I'm going to mess this name up, so please bear with me. The Pridewin Steel Flagship. I hope that was correct. A 6 to cast 6/6 legendary artifact vehicle that says whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 white human knight creature token with this creature gets +2/+2 as long as an artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn, and it crews for 2. That's actually one of the few vehicles that I'm not disliking. Sentry Bot is a 5 to cast 2/5 artifact creature robot with flash. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature that's attacking you. And then when it enters the battlefield, you get an energy counter for each creature that's attacking you. And then at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 3 energy. And if you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Vault 13 Dweller's Journey. This is a 4 to cast enchantment saga. It comes with 3 chapters. Chapter 1 says for each player, exile up to 1 other target enchantment or creature that player controls until Vault 13 leaves the battlefield. Chapter 2 says you gain 2 life and scry 2. And the 3rd chapter says return 2 cards exiled with the Vault 13 to the battlefield under their owner's control and put the rest on the bottom of their owner's libraries. Curie Emergent Intelligence. It's a 2 to cast 1/3 legendary artifact creature robot that says whenever Curie Emergent Intelligence deals combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to its base power. Then you can pay 1 blue and 1 generic and exile another non-token artifact creature that you control, and it will become a copy of the exiled creature, except it has whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to its base power. James Wandering Dad is a 3 to cast 2/4 legendary creature human scientist that you can tap it to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool, but only spend that to activate abilities. But it also comes attached with an adventure that for 2 blue and X, it's an instant that lets you investigate X times. Nick Valentine, Private Eye, is a 3 to cast 2/2 legendary artifact creature synth detective that says it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures. And then whenever it or another artifact creature you control dies, you may investigate. That's actually not bad. Synth Infiltrator, a 5 to cast 0/0 artifact creature synth that has Improvise, and then you may have Synth Infiltrator enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it's a synth artifact creature in addition to its other types. Assaultron Dominator is a 2 to cast 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. And then whenever an artifact creature you control attacks, you may pay 1 energy. And if you do, you put your choice of a +1/+1, first strike, or trample counter on that creature. The Motherlode Excavator is a 5 to cast 5/5 legendary artifact creature robot that says when it enters the battlefield, choose target opponent. You get an amount of energy equal to the number of non-basic lands that player controls. And then whenever it attacks, you may pay 4 energy, and when you do, destroy target non-basic land defending player controls, and creatures that player control without flying can't block this turn. Plasma Caster is a 2 to cast artifact equipment. The equipped creature gets +1/+1. And then it has another ability that says you may pay 2 energy counters to choose target creature that's blocking the equipped creature. Flip a coin. If you win the coin flip, exile the chosen creature. Otherwise, Plasma Caster deals 1 damage to it, and it equips for 2. Synth Eradicator is a 3 to cast 3/3 artifact creature synth soldier that has haste, and whenever it attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may get 2 energy counters, and if you don't, you may play that card this turn. Then you can tap it and pay 3 energy to have it deal 3 damage to any target. Arcade Ganon is a 4 to cast 2/3 legendary creature, Human Doctor. Oh, it's a doctor. Look at that. You can tap it to draw a card, then discard a card, and put a quest counter on it. And then there's another ability here that says, once during each of your turns, you may cast an artifact or human spell from your graveyard with a mana value less than or equal to the number of quest counters on it. Arcade Ganon. Electro Siphon. It is 2 blue and 1 red. It's a counter target spell, and you get an amount of energy equal to its mana value. Red Death Shipwrecker. 2 to cast 1/3 legendary creature, Crab Mutant. It has an ability that says Alluring Eyes. You can tap it to goad target creature an opponent controls. That player draws a card, and then you add a red mana to your mana pool. Rex Cyberhound is a 3 to cast 2/2 legendary artifact creature, Robot Dog, that has, looks like 3 abilities. The first one says whenever it deals combat damage to a player, they mill 2 cards, and you get 2 energy counters. The second ability says you pay 2 energy counters to choose target creature card in a graveyard, exile it with a brain counter on it, and you can activate that only as a sorcery. And then Rex has all activated abilities of all cards in exile with brain counters on them. Sentinel Sarah Lyons is 5 to cast 4/4 legendary creature, Human Knight, with haste. As long as an artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn, creatures you control get +2/+2. And the last ability is called Battalion. It says whenever Sentinel Sarah Lyons and at least 2 other creatures attack, Sentinel Sarah Lyons deals damage equal to the number of artifacts you control to target player. Sean, Father of the Synths, is a 5 to cast 3/4 legendary creature, Human Scientist. It says whenever you attack, you may create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of target attacking legendary creature you control, other than Sean, except it's not legendary, and it's a synth artifact creature in addition to its other types. And then when Sean leaves the battlefield, exile all synth tokens you control. Vault 12 Sadistic Simulation is a 4 to cast enchantment saga. Has 3 chapters. Chapters 1 and 2 say tap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter on it, and you get 2 energy counters. And the third chapter says pay any amount of energy. If you paid 1 or more energy this way, shuffle your library, then exile that many cards from the top. You may play one of those cards without paying its mana costs. Brotherhood Whirlbird, I think is how it's said. 3 to cast star 4 artifact vehicle with flying. It says its power is equal to the number of artifacts you control, and it crews for 2. T45 Power Armor. It's a 2 to cast artifact equipment that says when it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. The equipped creature gets +3/+3 and doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, you may pay a energy, and if you do, untap the equipped creature, then put your choice of a menace, trample, or lifelink counter on it, and it equips for 3. Ferris Lake. It is the enemy-colored filter land. These are new for this set, so we saw it in the last one too. Helios 1. It is a land that taps to add a colorless mana, or you can pay 1 and tap to get an energy counter, or you can pay 3 and tap it and pay X energy counters, and sacrifice it to destroy target non-land permanent with a mana value of X, but only activate as a sorcery. So that's the first half. Back half of the deck should go a little quicker, because there's reprints and everything, and the lands. So first reprint is an austere command. Open the vaults. Mechanized production. One with the machine. All reprints. Wake the past. I believe this may be a reprint, but I don't recognize it. It's a 7 to cast sorcery. It says return all artifact cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. They gain haste until end of turn. It's actually pretty good. It's very expensive to cast, though. Mystic Forge, one of my favorite cards in the game. Panharmonicon. Sadbot, Solemn Simulacrum. Steel Overseer. Clifftop Retreat. Exotic Orchard. Glacial Fortress. Irrigated Farmland. Prairie Stream. Skycloud Expanse, the original filter lands. Spire of Industry. Sulphur Falls. Temple of Enlightenment. Temple of Epiphany. Treasure Vault. Wayfarer's Bauble. Ash Barrens, all with new art on them. Buried Ruin. Command Tower. Evolving Wilds. Myriad Landscape. Mystic Monastery. Path of Ancestry. Hey, it's all reprints. Razortide Bridge. Rust Vale Bridge, and Silver Bluff Bridge. Terramorphic Expanse, and then full art lands, which I was shocked about when I opened the last one. So islands, mountains, plains. We've got the thick version of Dr. Madison Li. As you can see, it's a little bit thicker. It's a little harder to bend. It's also a different foiling. And then we have the counters. Okay, that's an energy reserve token. Human Knight, a couple of them. Thopter tokens, some copy and treasure tokens. Food, robot. And then on the other side of them are more treasures. Robots, Human Knight, clue, junk, treasure, copy, food, and treasure. And that, my friends, is what comes in the Universes Beyond Fallout Science Commander Precon. I have certainly made and piloted some artifact-heavy budget decks in my day, and I would rate this one as slightly weaker than those, thanks to the other theme being based around energy counters. I wasn't a fan of the energy counter mechanic when it was first introduced, and years later, I'm still not a fan. It just seems like an extra step to gather the resources that you need to make the cards that need them work, which takes up spots for much better cards that don't. I will reiterate that while I'm not a fan of energy counters myself, that doesn't mean the mechanic is entirely bad and that you can't have fun with it. It's just not a mechanic I personally enjoy playing in Magic. The challenge for the upgrade guide will be to find cards that will help both improve the deck and be fun to use that also revolve around the energy counters theme. So that's the goal, but how I get there is going to be a little more difficult than normal. What will I find? You will just have to come back tomorrow to find out. I hope to see you there. Well, folks, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and if you're looking for more Magic content to watch, please go browse my channel and take a look at some of my many other videos. I've made plenty of them that I think you'll enjoy, and then please be sure to check back tomorrow for that upgrade guide. Before you go, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, so that you can be notified anytime I release new content, which is typically every Friday. Have a great day, and I hope to see you all tomorrow.